How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Nice. So we're going to wait a little bit until we start, but for everyone, for the rest of the people that are here, I just wanted to say that check the poll tab and please give us your honest reply on the poll, because lots of about that is going to be covered in the Anna and Yuri's presentation that we're going to hear in a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will be really interesting at the end of the session to see like the average, what our audience thought about the concerns they have. And it would be good to receive a feedback afterwards, like to know if we boasted some of those concerns or not.
Well, I think we can pull from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, people are joining, but we're going to give them like a couple of minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can start. So Yuri, how is the weather in your city where you are now?
I'm right now in Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
so the weather is great.
Mm-hmm.
Sun is shining.
Perfect.
I see the sea now.
Anna, a bit better, so you have a good view. Beautiful.
Yeah, I do.
Kind of, but different cities.
Different cities, beautiful.
Sea view, ocean view. Yeah, it's nice. It gives a lot of energy when watching the water.
Yeah, that's true. Calming, more focusing for me as well.
Yeah. Before the presentation, I was nervous. Went to the balcony, watched the ocean. Like, oh no, now I'm okay. Now I'm good to go.
I thought that you're gonna say like I went to the ocean. I did to relax, and then I'm gonna go.
Kind of a plan after the presentation to have a short run nearby.
Yeah,
But yeah, wouldn't mind going to the ocean as well.
beautiful. So people are slowly joining. I'm going to just give a little introduction. Hello, everyone that are here with us. Today we're gonna hear the presentation of Anna and Yuri. They're gonna talk about very important topic, I would say, how Magento companies from Ukraine work amid the war. So I'm very interested to hear this topic. For everyone here, we already created one poll, so it would be very interesting to know a question. You can answer it during the presentation. Doesn't need to be immediately, but just so you know, there is a one question created. And during the presentation, feel free to add as many questions as you would like. We're going to be covering them at the end of the presentation. So you can ask them whenever you want, and we're gonna answer them at the end. And well, welcome Anna, welcome Yuri. I'm gonna leave to you guys to slowly but surely start with the presentation. I'm gonna move myself because I'm not important. Good luck.
Thank you.
I would just like to say hello to everyone, and thank you for joining us. And I will give the word to Anna. She will be showing the presentation and will be speaking, and I'll be in the background, and then I will help her to answer the questions that you may have after our presentation. Thanks a lot for joining.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'm just now wondering if you see my screen, because I shared, but probably doesn't really share it.
It doesn't. I don't see it.
Okay, give me a minute. I go to Safari now, because yesterday I was presenting for Safari. It was good. Just a minute, and I come back, okay?
No problem. Perfect.
Yeah, some technical difficulties.
Well, better have them in the beginning than in the middle, so we are fine.
Yeah.
That is gonna give our all the guests that are here listening, well, I'm going to remind them that they can already answer the poll created. If you don't see, please let me in the chat.
Right.
And hello, everyone.
Gosh,
Yes.
I don't hear everyone. This is nice. Give me another chance. Yesterday was all okay.
Perfect.
Try again.
Comes that Anna will be able to fix it quickly.
Don't worry, Anna. If you cannot, we can try. I can try.
Sorry.
Let me see if I'm gonna be able. Yes. One moment.
Hi, Antonia. I was wondering, maybe you can get the slides from Anna and
Yes.
share yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't hear myself in Safari, but anyway, let's do it next way. Antonia, can you share the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think yes. Let's see. One moment. That's why we have the presentation. I'm using slides to share them. Okay. Let's see. It's loading. Perfect. Okay. Let me share it. I prepare it. One moment.
Yep. Cool.
Okay, let's wait 1 minute because it's loading, so I don't want to share it. I want to share it when it's screen ready, okay?
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Okay, perfect.
Nice.
Let me see if you see it.
Cool. Yeah, now we see it. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, that's my job here. Let's go.
Okay, it's
So,
great.
yes, I'm gonna just mute myself and
yeah, cool. So we can move to the next slide because we already introduced our topic. And probably the most important thing here to understand about me and Yuri is that we are Ukrainians with lifelong experience of being Ukrainians. Therefore, we understand good the Ukrainian market, what's going on there, and how the situation in Ukrainian market can impact your experience as clients, partners, and potential employees as well. Let's move to the next one. Therefore, the goal of our today's presentation is to explain to you what does it look like to work with Ukrainian companies and teams right now. But before we go, next one. Yeah, before we go, we would like you to go to the poll on the right side of your screen and to vote for the main concern that you have when it comes to working with Ukrainian companies or teams or freelancers, so that at the end of the session, we can see what was the average concern. And during the session, we will work on them. So to say, we will explain if they really true, if they really exist or not. So let's continue going. Today, next slide. Today, during our presentation, we will explore three main topics. First one, we'll look briefly at measures taken by Magento companies, Magento community in Ukraine in order to understand how they handled the situation and how they were able to keep their businesses going and to keep their employees safe at the same time. Then we'll look at some numbers that will represent the current business environment in Ukraine. And the third topic is going to be more of a philosophical level. We'll talk about mentality and mindset changes that are happening right now in Ukraine society and that will impact business environment as well. And we will finalize it all with how you can support Ukraine and Ukrainian businesses. Let's do it. Next slide. So let's see how Magento agencies coped with the war in Ukraine and continue coping. Next one, yeah. Before we go, I would like to thank all of our companies, Magento companies, that shared their experience with us and helped us to craft this presentation as well. So thank you guys for sharing your experience. And next. Cool. When we talk about what was before the war, which measures we took before the war, being honest, yeah, we had a lot of conversations in our country and a lot of concerns and also some expectations of potential war and some predictions of other countries. But we were not really believing in that because you think like Europe, 21st century, it's impossible, right? But anyway, we took some measures in order to, just in case, be prepared. All these measures, most common of them, were preparing relocation plans for employees, their families, their pets. No. Back, thank you. Their pets. And Antonia, can you go back? Yeah, thank you. Also, we shared some safety recommendations on what to pack in a go pack, what to stock on, and what to do in case of shelling in the city. And those companies who had offices in Ukraine, physical offices, they also take some technical measures in order to ensure that if nobody is in the office, they can still provide their solutions and their services to their clients. And then next one. Sure thing, when the war started, our main goal was to ensure that all of the employees are in a safe place, they are okay. And therefore, companies started to relocate people from war zones or helping them with accommodations, finding ones or paying for ones and so on. Then the next step was paying salaries in advance because we were not sure that the bank system will continue working in a good quality as it was before the war. Therefore, all of the salaries were paid probably right the next day after the war started. And some of the companies also paid extra financial help or provided some gadgets and other essentials. These were the first days. Now let's move to next weeks and months. So when we were sure that employees are safe and they are okay, our main goal was to be sure that they're psychologically okay as well, more or less, at least. And therefore, main step here was to provide psychological help. For instance, having one-on-one with a psychologist, then talking to HR specialists who had psychology degree, or having lectures by psychologists in the company. And I remember a good example by also Astroncomers that they had a 24/7 hour support service. Anyone, no matter the proximity of the war, could call and have a talk with a psychologist at any time they wished that. Then, among some other steps were to have a flexible work schedule when everyone needed that, also to have some regular meetups, and if people lived in the same city during the first months, first weeks, they would go to volunteer together so that they stay united in this way as well and support each other. I think we could go to the next one. So to sum up, the main priorities during this stage, during these first months, was, especially during first weeks, to be sure that everyone is safe, feel financially confident, and are psychologically okay. Next one. And speaking of psychological stages, here it's important to understand that people usually undergo 4 main psychological stages when they go through traumatic events such as war. It is shock, adrenaline, devastation, and plateau. And we as Ukrainians have been on the plateau stage for the last couple of months, 2 months for sure, because the first 3 stages usually take a month. And this plateau stage, the main characteristic of it is adaptability. So when our body and mind adapt to the new reality. And therefore now we can kind of feel okay and we can joke again and we can feel less emotions and be more rational, be able to adapt, and be able to focus and work and be productive. This is really important to understand what's going on in general in our nation right now. I think we can move further. So next question is what we did from the client side of you in order to keep the projects going, right? The main thing here during this period of time, especially during the first week, was to communicate again and again and again. For instance, in our company, I remember probably the first talk was in a few hours after the war started, or right the next day, when senior managers and project management team gathered together and started to think about, okay, how we should deliver the message to our clients that everything is okay, and here is the plan, how we're gonna work next, and to deliver your project. And therefore, every company understood that the most important part here was to communicate that all is gonna be okay, and with everyone's businesses. And it's important also to know that businesses reacted incredibly good, and they were very supportive, and we're really thankful to our clients and to the e-commerce community for that. Let's go next. When talking to Magento agencies about what kind of options they took in order to ensure that clients had their projects delivered, there were three main things done. First of all, if they had employees outside of the country, and most of them does, they would work after work in order to be sure that every project is in the stage as it should be according to the agreement. Then the second one was if they had development partners. Sorry, I got really nervous at some point because of the presentation. I'll have a sip. And the second point was if they had some development partners in other countries like Poland, Serbia, Bulgaria, they will ask them to continue working on the project for a short while. And the third option was postponing major project releases. All of these steps were done in order to give some time to Ukrainian employees to relocate to new places, settle down there, calm down, have their time to understand what's going on, and to be able to continue working again when they feel it's the right time. And an incredible thing here that we would like also to mention is that e-commerce community and Magento community in particular was very supportive of this period of time. They would organize some shelters or organize development help for other companies, and this way they helped our nation and our businesses to keep going as well. So thank you a lot for that. We're moving to the next topic of our presentation, and we're going to explore here what is the current situation of businesses in Ukraine and what are the trends and forecasts here. Let's look at the numbers. So we have the Ukrainian digital platform for public procurement called Prozora, and they released a research a month after the war, saying that 50% of companies a month after the war already worked. Among them, 41% of companies never even stopped the communication, and 12% expected to reopen very soon. And I believe that those 12% already reopened since the research was done 2 months ago. Let's move on. And so all companies, they reopen and new ones are being created. At the moment, we have a registration level of new business companies at the point of 70% compared to the pre-war period, which is kind of a good for the country under the war. Moving on. Before we move on, we'll start talking about IT industry of Ukraine. And we have a question for you. How do you think, it is in the poll, you can now vote. How do you think, what was the results of expert earnings of IT industry in the Q1 comparing to Q1 of the previous year? Now we can see, I think, the results. We'll give you some time to vote. Antonia, when you consider it's time to move to the next slide and see the results, just move to the next slide.
Okay, let's give them 1 minute or so because we're going to reveal the information on the next slide.
So we give people 1 minute and me 1 minute to relax.
Yes. We make you work, people, but that's good. Let me submit my work. Nice. We have so far 13 votes. Let's wait 1 minute more. They're coming. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, and important to understand that the war started during the first quarter, right? So let's see what you think about it, because
okay, I think we can move on. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's continue. And what were the results? Can you tell me, Antonia? Is it positive or negative?
Yes.
In the majority.
They say that 5 votes think that it's decreasing. So 31% is decreasing and 68.8% is increasing.
Oh, nice.
It's good. Expecting.
It's good. Yeah, because actually this is really a positive thing happening. We had hit a record in expert earnings in Q1 comparing to Q1 in previous year. And this way, IT industry of Ukraine showed that they can be pretty stable during even the war times as well. And it's a good thing, really good thing. And was kind of astonishing for me when I saw it. Let's move on, right? Okay. Yeah, next slide, please. So we also, when looking at the numbers, can see that the majority of companies, 96%, they maintain their experts. And compared to March 2021, and even 77% of companies, they attracted new customers during the war period, which is also kind of a positive. Next slide, please. Yep. When the IT Ukraine Association asked for the main reasons why companies, clients maintain to be our customers, the main reasons for that was that they had a high customer loyalty towards Ukrainian companies. They had already a long-term partnership, therefore they had a trust. They also like the delivery stability that was not really much changing, although the war happened, because of the options we already talked about, the measures that were taken. Also, constant communication with clients, as we said, it was very important. Rapid stabilization of business processes, quick relocation of teams, high social responsibility, and high quality of services, even in times of war. These were the main reasons. And we also, as businesses from Ukraine or with offices there, we've been asking a lot from clients and leads if our employees went to the war or not. But in general, speaking of IT sector of Ukraine, only 3% of employees went to the army. And the reason for that is that IT sector is in the economy front, and we serve a lot of economy. For instance, we are one of those industries that, probably the only one, that pay taxes in advance. 30% of interviews companies do that. And also we're in top 3 sectors of our economy, and taking into account that metallurgy and agriculture, which are also in top 3, they have no higher risks. IT industry might go to the top of the list. But although the statistics are kind of a good, right? But not everything is that shiny and bright, unfortunately. And actually, even if we saw, even when we think about the statistics that were shown before that, I wouldn't say that they're really good ones, because they are most about we're keeping going, we are maintaining it, but we're not actually growing. Because at the beginning of the year, when the war hasn't started yet, we had predictions of growth, and now we have predictions of maintaining things, right? And this statistics is kind of a good example, because it shows that now we have less job openings than job seekers on the market, although it always was, or most of the time, it was vice versa. And now, unfortunately, there is a gap. They say that according to analytics, it is like closing this gap a bit, but not in that rapid speed as it would be without the war. I think we can move on. So, making kind of a summary from what we already talked about in the first section about measures and in the second section about analytics. And coming back to our main question, what is it like working with Ukrainian companies right now? We would say that it's kind of we would say that it's in many ways it is the same one as it was before the war, because we kept the quality good, we stick to the deadlines, we have resources, we have available resources, and we can deliver the projects as it was before the war in the same quality. Now let's talk about the philosophical level of our presentation. Next slide, please. We will explore how what we can expect from Ukrainian companies, Ukrainian teams and employees in the near future, or already right now. What kind of changes in our mentality we undergo? Yeah, next slide, please. Before we move on to these three main things that we now experience in our mentality and mindset, I would like to cite a few sentences from a book called Startup Nation. It is a book about Israel's startups and startup industry, business industry. And in this book, and also what I wanted to say is that this is a book about the startup industry of Israel, and Israel was influenced a lot because of their history, war, and immigration. And Warren Buffett, he bought a company back in 90s probably, called Iskar, and this company was under threat of missiles attacks at least twice, in 1991 and then in 2006. But in Buffett's view, and here I'm going to cite it, Buffett's view is that if Iskar's facilities are bombed, it can go build another plant. The plant does not represent the value of the company. It is the talent of employees and management that constitutes Iskar's value. So missiles, even if they can destroy factories, do not, in Buffett's eyes, represent catastrophic risk. And so he was not afraid of wars, he was not afraid of missiles, and he thought, next slide please, that the main thing is human resources, human talent. And we all know that human talent is the key when doing businesses. Now let's see what we can expect from human talent of Ukraine right now. Let's move on. Ukraine as a nation was in search for its own brand identity, not brand identity, but national idea, national identity, so to say. And now we have it. It is like be brave enough to be Ukraine, and so on. And for instance, me here at the presentation, I was kind of afraid before it all happened. And I would tell to organizers, sorry guys, can we just switch me for another person, because I'm afraid, I never did that, and so on. And then I had this thought in my mind, after especially some internal discussions as well, I had this thought that soldiers on the front are not afraid, volunteers are not afraid, business owners are not afraid, or they are afraid, but they act bravely. And I should follow this, because if I'm afraid, can I call myself Ukrainian now? And this was the thing that really triggered my mind. And I can see it also happening in different spheres of our life, not only in those that I mentioned. So being brave here, how it can influence your experience with Ukrainians is that now we can expect more brave decisions, more bolder actions and goals and so on. Therefore, it's really an interesting thing happening in our country right now, and we are proud of being brave and will continue being brave in any sphere of our life. Next thing is that now we experience a motivation of the level that we never probably experienced before, because it's not only about personal reasons, personal benefits when doing the war, but it's also about national level and national scale, on the national scale. So when doing our work, we know it will not only impact us and our families, it will impact our economy, it will impact our society and so on. And we know that it's like a chain of help. When you hire Magento agencies or employ Ukrainian companies, when we work, we know that this money that we earn, we then donate to army, we donate to funds, we donate to people we know, people we don't know as well. And this is like a huge chain of help happening right now. And because of this motivation, it brings us to the next slide and to the next thing that is happening in Ukrainian nation. A new level of dedication that we are now having. We always were dedicated to our work, but now it's like tremendous, because we have this national scale motivation that makes us work harder, become better, improving, because we want people to continue working with us. We want to grow. We want to double and triple what we have in order to build better future for our company, for our people, for our children, and so on. And on these photos, you can see some of our employees and some employees of other companies, working in bomb shelters or in safer rooms in their apartments during air raids, sirens, and actually being able to be productive no matter what. And it's not like, and I think we can move on because we have less and less minutes. Yeah. So this is what kind of changes are happening right now in our mentality, and how you can support Ukrainian companies and Ukraine in the topic that we just spoke about is that, let's see them. Next slide. It is to employ and to hire Magento employ specialists from Ukraine, hire Magento agencies, or donate, or do all of it together. Because in this way, as we said before, this helps the economy, helps the country, the people, and you also will have the kind of services that as it was before the war, right? And the last thing that I wanted to say here is that it is again like a huge chain of help happening after that, and you really invest in the future of this country. This is pretty much it. I also added some donations to the donation funds that we trust. You can use them and donate as well. Thank you.
Make a print screen and donate. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna, so much. I'm gonna ask everyone. It was a great presentation, and I think it was one of the most interesting ones because it's something that we are all following very, very tightly. So I would like to ask everyone to ask your questions. We have Anna and Yuri here, and they are happy to answer some questions that maybe we didn't cover in the presentation or we did. So waiting for your questions.
Yeah, we were, we didn't have too much time to cover this huge topic because, there were many changes that we had to make, that were a lot of circumstances, etc., that this war bring. But, it's impossible to show everything during this 30 minutes presentation, but I would be happy to answer any of your questions regarding how our company was dealing with the situation, how we were able to handle the situation, and how we were, basically how we were during all this period, how we were working on. I don't know, just ask any questions that you would like to receive the answer for.
Yeah, it would be actually interesting to know if you have any other concerns and ideas regarding what's happening in Ukraine and how it can affect your business in a positive or negative way, for instance. And we're ready to discuss those questions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's go, guys. It's a great topic. Let's ask question. Everyone is like a saw in the air of the presentation. Lots of people saying awesome presentation, Anna. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for your session. And then we have Daniel Matiev is saying Slava Ukraini, which is amazing. While we wait, we're gonna wait for some more times. I still encourage you to ask some questions. I would like to ask Yuri, Yuri, question for you because, and later on for Anna, where you were being at the time of the day that war happened, where you were being situated, and what were your thoughts in those first days? What was happening, and how you were coping with everything?
I was kind of lucky, to be outside of Ukraine because, in our company, like during the COVID-19 pandemic, we had the office in, we have the headquarters in US, also in Amsterdam, and we had like the biggest office with all the developers, project managers, etc. And it was in Kiev, Ukraine, because basically Magento was born in Ukraine. Magento office was in Ukraine, and in Ukraine there is the biggest community of Magento developers worldwide, and this is why obviously we did have the office there, as since we specialize only in Magento and Adobe Commerce development as a company at GoMage. And after the start of the pandemic, we made the decision to basically switch to fully remote format. And we were always like remote friendly. We were always allowing our employees to work part-time in the office and part-time from home remotely, and we had like all the infrastructure, etc., ready to the remote work without suffering like the quality, the speed of the communication, any like thing like that. And that remote-friendly culture that we had in our company, it actually helped us a lot because after we were, I know that many companies were really suffering, switching from working in the office to the remote format. They had really like huge issues, but in our company it was like seamless, and after we switched to full remote format, like we've decided, it was like a strategic decision that our employees will not be ever like obligated to work in the office. So we'll do have the offices, but it will be like a choice of every employee, or rather to work in the office or not. And we gave like a freedom to relocate for anyone, to any countries, any cities, etc. And basically, like lots of our employees moved in some different places, mostly to some places near the sea, etc. And actually, that helped us a lot after like the start of this war, because many of our employees were already outside of Ukraine, but there were still like a part of the employees were still in Ukraine, and we had to, we did our best to relocate them as soon as possible. And now, like they're working in much more safest places, closer to the borders of with Poland, with Moldova.
And thank you so much for a longer explanation, because I think it was really important to see those first days and first decisions that you as a company needed to make. And I wanted to ask you, because we all know that Ukraine in the war is right now still hot topic, but it's not as in the news as it was, which is normal. We know that. But now we have this opportunity from the first hand to see what is happening right now. What are the inside things that maybe we don't see that much, because world needs to go on, and there are lots. There is still in the news, but maybe not that much. So I would like now to all the people that are still with us and listening, to give update what is happening, and inside information.
Exactly. Sure, that's exactly the problem that many people, many countries, like kind of tired of Ukraine, of Ukrainian news, of the news regarding the war, etc. They want to see something more positive, but unfortunately, the war still continue, and it's every day, like lots of Ukrainian people are dying, unfortunately. So it's remaining a really hot topic, and like Ukrainians are really brave, and they are ready to fight until the victory. But it's it's not only about the their bravery, but it's like it's a technological war, right? So, Russia has much more power, much more tanks, like missiles, etc. It's like the difference between like what Ukraine had, like in terms of the army, and what Russia had. Like, it's huge. It's and basically some countries are right now like helping Ukraine, of course, helping a lot, and we are like really grateful for that. But sometimes, some countries not really, they're like telling that they will help, but not really helping so fast as we need it, because like every day lots of Ukrainians are dying, like especially like our like people who are actually at the front right now, like at the front line, and and also lots of civilians near the places, where there are like active, like active bombardments, etc. Lots of civilians are dying like every day, and like I understand that many people don't want to hear about that. They're tired to hear about that, but we still need the support and help as a country, and we need it probably even if like our need is even greater than it was before. Like Russia is not going to stop just like it's impossible. My opinion, it's impossible to stop Russia, from invading Ukraine by speaking with with Putin and making some negotiations, because they just want to invade our country, and that's all, and that's true. And how you can speak with someone that just wanted to invade your country? It's I think that it's possible to stop this invasion only only with our army, and only after that reach some agreement. Because anyways, this war will have to end with some agreement. We cannot just have a war endlessly. And
that's correct. It's gonna be some agreement, but the question is how many people needs to die. Well, it's an amazing topic. It's an amazing presentation. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Yuri. And thank you everyone who joined. There are no more questions because the presentation was perfect. And yes, there are some comments here, but we already answered them. So thank you everyone for coming and being here with us.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for the support.
Thank you everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye
bye.
I'm gonna be Anna. Anna left. I'm gonna make her print screens.
Is it?
So I just wanted to say I'm gonna make you screenshots of the full pool so that you have like maybe for internal sharing these results. Okay, I'm gonna make.